Uncover the dark world of grave robbing and hidden human remains. This grave robber stored bodies in his house hanging from the ceiling. This is what drew attention to the 100-plus bodies that has been robbed.
Storing remains in his home and storage unit. Chris O'Connell, you've been following this story since it broke. What are police saying? Well, Jason, police think that Jonathan Gerlach was selling at least some of those human remains online. Investigators say he had collected a trove of human skulls, skeletons, and bones, including full corpses hanging from his basement ceiling.
I never thought I would see this in my life.
Now, there's a full press conference, and the reason I'm putting this is I just want to give you a little more background to the case before we get into the actual cemetery. All right, Hannibal Lecter, that's another one. I think we could name lots of serial killers in this case, and I can't imagine that there's none of his victims in there, which we'll find out. Let's see what this guy says.
It was an experience that you really don't want to relive.
The Yeadon police chief says he's seen a lot in his career, but nothing
Never
like what he
this.
saw when he walked into the home of accused grave robber Jonathan Gerlach.
But do you see how you can look at Jonathan Gerlach and think, oh, this guy's in a heavy metal band for years, and he's got the tattoos and the piercings. Oh, it's just part of his persona. Rev CP says they said he was doing it back in October. Oh, this went back to 2018. Law enforcement was investigating this. Now, Ed Gain was taking bones and making things for at least 4 years. We also have Norman Bates. Good one. We don't have Snow. You guys talking about there. Ed was a couple of years after his mom passed. It wasn't very long. Yeah, we can always get the time frame of Ed Gain if you guys ever want to go into that more. And we can also go over Ed Gain, and Jeremy Pauly is another one that fascinates me. He's doing this, but a little bit less.
He was one of the first inside of Gerlach's Ephrata home when they discovered more than 100 human remains of people who have died decades, even centuries ago. Investigators and medical examiners were back at the property today. They say 8 more bodies were found at a nearby storage locker.
They were basically on display. There were some.
Now, look, they were on display in a storage locker, and people were coming there. People were coming and buying it. The ones that did know they were real are on the list for law enforcement to arrest. Jeremy Pauly, the guy that I showed you before, was actually arrested because he was buying real human body parts. Now, YouTube shell. Another huge issue is the toxic chemicals these remains have from embalming. Back in the 1800s, they embalmed with heavy metals, which means he poisoned his entire home and the whole neighborhood. That's a good call. That part I hadn't even looked at. You say he worked at a laser factory for 10 years. And again, it reminds me of another Dahmer thing. Him just kind of hiding out in a factory, blending in. Did he work at night? I wonder.
Stuff in boxes, but most of the stuff was on display.
According to newly released affidavits, police say Gerlach used crowbars and screwdrivers to break into dozens of mausoleums and underground burial vaults on both the Yeadon and Philadelphia.
Now, when I read you the probable cause affidavit and how they caught him, you guys are going to say, no way, you couldn't make this up. All right. He was a manager, just a normal dude. And it should be disturbing. It should be very disturbing. We're going to go into that graveyard after we do the affidavit.
Sides of the historic Mount Moriah Cemetery. You can actually see where some of the stones were moved and vaults burglarized. 2 corpses stolen from this grave, 7 sets of remains stolen from this family plot. All of the remains were from those who died many years ago, but some as young as infants. Descendants of family members buried here are sickened.
It's yucky. I mean, anybody finding out, we think that, we're going to rest in peace and be okay there. And
now, literally, the medical examiner brought full-on bodies and body bags from his house and then his shed. So, I mean, this is just, there's a lot of wrong things with this, and there's a lot of harm that could be done to the environment as well. Procuring remains for witchcraft and Satanism. Interesting, maybe. I don't know anything about that, but I wouldn't put it past.
It's their landing space of their body, not their soul. So there's peace in that.
Neighbors at Gerlach's Ephrata home started to get suspicious when they started noticing flies around the window.
It was more than 5. It was at least 20, 30 on each window. I figured it was a garage that they were getting in through somewhere.
I'm telling you, the law enforcement tells you how it smells. It did smell, but because the town is, whatever the town is, however it smells, if there's cattle, if there's any of the country, you won't be able to smell it as well. But I assure you, with 20 to 25 flies around the window, there was some nasty stuff down there. But the chemicals from embalming absolutely have contaminated that house and maybe the neighborhood. And that's what the neighbors are afraid of. Not only just the contamination, but also just having a bunch of hundreds of bodies there.
And they couldn't get out, and now finding out that there was all those remains in there, it makes sense.
Investigators are trying to figure out if other cemeteries were hit. In December, a tip came into police about a grave robber in Luzerne County. A tipster told police they recently discovered a partially decomposed corpse hanging from Gerlach's basement.
So somebody told on him, as well as the Jeremy Pauly person. Like I said, they have been investigating this grave robbing situation since 2018 in this town, which exposed Jeremy Pauly initially and other people that were buying and selling real bodies.
They also say he disappeared for a few days and mentioned that he had been in Chicago selling a human skull. Police are looking into a Facebook page devoted to selling human remains. Investigators wonder how long it's been going on or what else they may find.
What could this evolve to next? You're collecting human remains. What's the next step in the evolution of this? And that's something that, hopefully we will find out why.
Now, Gerlach remains in the Delaware County jail on $1 million cash bail. Investigators are now trying to connect loved ones with their family members' remains, but since all of them died many, many years ago, Dawn, they understand it is going to be a challenge.
No doubt, Chris, and so disturbing.
Yeah, that town is going to be disturbed for years to come. All right, guys, I'm going to read the probable cause affidavit, which is scarier than an actual horror movie. Sassy Cricket says, "No, I'm a witch. We would just be as appalled as anyone else. We honor the dead and the spirits, and we don't desecrate them for greed." Well, that's what I like to hear. I would hope so. I don't know about the Jeremy Pauly. I'll have to research him. Well, Husky Lover, if you go back and watch the beginning of this episode, you will see how that's relevant to the picture behind me and the dots that were connected, starting with Jeremy Pauly. All right. Yeah. Don't mess with the bones and the souls. That's why I just want to be cremated, guys. I do not want to be out there in the ground by myself. All right. Where people have to come visit me. Just cremate me. Be done. All right. Let's keep going. I'm going to read the probable cause affidavit now, which is what they were just showing. I'm glad that I was able to find this because it's scarier than any horror movie. Let me make sure you guys can see that. If I need to make it bigger, I will. Let me know. If you guys want it to be bigger, put 1 in chat. All right. And otherwise, let's watch these the trolls, because I'm reading right now. All right. So watch for the trolls synth. I just deleted one from the channel. All right. Thank you. All right. Number 1. Oh, you want me to make it bigger so you can actually see it too? All right. That's cool. I can do that. I don't know if you guys are watching it on your big screen TV or what, but here we go. And please, yes, keep the trolls. Just block them. Get rid of them. Don't ever let them come back. Time them out and just remove them. All right. Listen. And if it's worth it for you to troll my channel to keep having to make different profiles, then by all means, go for it. All right, I'm going to get into it now. You guys, my mods, are going to time idiots out, and I'm going to read. All right. Ephrata has a few haunted places. You can research the haunted places, and we'll be right there on the list of the massacres. That's crazy. I'm going to leave that up for a minute. All right. Listen, guys. On November 7th, 2025, at approximately 11:29 hours, the Yeadon Borough Police Department was dispatched to the Yeadon Borough section of Mount Moriah Cemetery for a report of a burglary discovered. Officers arrived at the location and were met by the complainant, a member of Friends of Mount Moriah. Officers were directed to Section 125 within the cemetery, which contains mausoleums. Due to the previous vandalism over the years, all the access to mausoleums had previously been sealed with concrete blocks and cement. Officers were led to the Hunter family mausoleum, which had a large hole in the cinder block that were now permitted to access the mausoleum. Upon the inspection inside the mausoleum, it was discovered that the marble flooring was destroyed, revealing the crypts situated below ground level. It should have been noted from the drop from the damaged flooring to the lower level of the underground crypt, which is approximately 10 feet. Now, Detective Cesanak responded to Mount Moriah Cemetery to process the scene. Located within the mausoleum was a white nylon rope with a brown and black carabiner attached. The rope was tied to a large tree branch, which was lying on the ground level floor inside of the mausoleum. The rope was left hanging down into the now open floor of the mausoleum and positioned as if the actor or actors utilized it to rappel into the now open floor, allowing access to the crypts and the below ground level. So they had this thing going. They had it down. Now, while canvassing the area by the crypts, Craftsman flathead screwdrivers were located on the ground within the debris from the broken marble. The name Brian, which was etched into multiple times on the handle of the screwdriver. Officers discovered a crypt that had been disturbed, which was on the bottom left of the underground area and identified as holding Martha Hunter. Remember, these are real people, real families. She was born in 1854 and she passed away in 1869. The marble stone that was securing the crypt had been completely removed from the crypt itself, sitting upright on the nearby wall. Inspection of the crypt revealed no remains or clothing were left behind, indicating that someone had removed the contents of the crypt. One set of human remains is believed to be missing. The rope, carabiner, and screwdriver were collected as evidence. Detective Cessnack utilized a hydrated cotton swab to recover DNA evidence from the screwdriver as well as the carabiner.